Yep.
All right, I'd like to call this meeting Monday, July 26, 2022, Nottingham Select Board meeting. We are going to all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance right now. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, everybody read did the payroll and the manifest?
Yep.
Do you have any comments? Anybody want to make a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the accounts payable manifest for 7/26/2001 and the payroll manifest for 7/27/2001.
Second. So we have a motion and a second. Aye?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Minutes from last meeting? Any corrections? Anybody have any? For the meeting of July 12th?
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes of July 12th, 2021.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Passes unanimous. Report from assigned committees. Obviously, there's nothing with budget. Planning board, which was the meeting I held, was at 2 weeks ago on Wednesday. We have another one coming up this Wednesday. There was a couple things that did come up during that meeting. We talked about the snowmobile watercross. There was things that they needed to finish up and bring to the board, which we will continue on this Wednesday's meeting. There was also a case regarding off Indian Run Road, I believe. Lamprey Road, sorry, thank you, Chris. About a lot line. Gentleman was trying to buy across the street a 1 acre parcel, but because of the new town approvals of roads, that is not feasible, because the road section in between his property and the property he wanted to buy is no longer available, because it's now considered a town road under the passing of Article 19. So he did have an option of buying 2 acres, but one of the clarification was, what they wanted to know was how wide the road is of that section. So that's something for us to be determined in the future, because there was no answer for that at the present time. But because, again, that classification being a town road, that was not something where we could move forward on with the purchase, because he's not purchasing enough land on the other side. He did have the option to purchase 2 acres, but he doesn't want to, because he wanted to just combine it with his. So that was a discrepancy that we had on that. So something for us to look forward to in the future about future discussions. Sorry.
You're gonna cover it.
I had it on my
Okay,
list, but
got
if
it.
you
No, no, that's fine.
Anything from the CIP?
Too early.
Okay. 300?
300 had a meeting last Thursday. I didn't make it, but they did have a meeting.
Okay. Any news on Marston's?
Wait, before we go off that, Tyler, when we ended it with those guys, when they were here, I can't remember, and I don't see any action items in the minutes as to what the next step was with them.
I just think we said we'd get back with them again here in the near future, but I think they got the message, or not message, but what we were saying. I think they understand that maybe, everything might not be able to happen, but they would like to see happen.
Okay. We should probably try to provide a little more specific guidance, given the time frame that we're coming under.
So we want to put that as an action item for next meeting? Do you have that? Okay. Town administrator's report.
Hey, wait,
Oops, sorry. Sorry, that's my bad. I'm just expediting things too quickly. My bad.
I got
apologize.
nothing, I got nothing on Marston. No, I'm kidding, I'm kidding. No, the only thing I have to share on Marston is that Kevin Kukuchis, who is Matt's son, and Matt, has been doing so much out at Marston, Kevin chose to do his senior project as a fundraiser for Marston. And over the weekend, he held a volleyball tournament at the school and charged fees and, took other donations as well. I don't know how much he raised, but I just, wanted to acknowledge that, he did it was a great project, and I was really pleased that he did that. So how much they made TBD, I'll share when I have it.
Excellent. Anything else from anybody to add? All right, we'll move on to Chris Sterndale and the town administrator's report.
Just following up on Marston, at the bottom of your file, just fresh out in the mail today, this is an easement for the power service for the well. It's a generic overhead and underground easement to get from the street to the service location. If you could, between other things this evening, look it over, and if you're comfortable with me signing it, we can decide that later at the end of the night. This is not something I have the authority to do on my own, so I want you to get a look at it. If you want to pause on it, fine. It's just fresh out of the mail today, so I wanted to see if we can keep things moving.
It's standard though, right?
Yeah, it appears to me to be a standard fare.
Yeah.
We're reaching into the property pretty far with a trench. You may have seen it. It's, and one thing, I don't know where we are in the process of stringing that conduit and that.
Yeah,
wire.
I honestly, I don't
if
know
you're more
either. I
up to date than
haven't heard from Matt or Carl, but I'll check with them.
I think it's been quiet the last couple of weeks. Most of what I have is financial, so we can do it later. Ledge Farm Road is going to be closed tomorrow, between pretty much, close to the square, between the square and Poor Farm Road, while they repair the damage from the washout from the rainstorms 2 weeks ago. It's probably only going to affect one side of the road, but in order to get it done quickly and to be able to chase it, the problem as far as they have to, they decided to make it a full closure for several hours, maybe the whole day, but probably not. Folks can get around that spot, obviously, using Poor Farm, so nuisance, but not horrific. Other paving is underway as well. You may have come by. I think church was done this morning. They've been trying to do the top coat over on the Nottingham Lake neighborhoods. The weather's just been chasing them off all week last week. That should be, depending on tomorrow's weather, Tuesday, Wednesday project over there.
Yep.
And then just to fill in a couple things that John didn't mention on the water cross, that's been pretty high profile, a lot of interest in it. Just to explain where it is in the various processes, the planning board is doing it, returning to it this week. While the planning board has been working on it, the zoning board has also been working on it. ZBA granted a variance for that use a couple months ago now. And residents and abutters asked the ZBA to rehear that case, which is the way the appeal process works for ZBA. ZBA decided that they would rehear the case, so the variance is still in limbo. They will hear the case in mid-August. I think it's the 17th. So the two boards, this doesn't happen very often, but the two boards are working on the same thing in parallel at the same time. I presume planning would, if they go to approve, would be contingent upon ZBA approval.
Or they're gonna push it.
Or they're gonna push it, one or the other. I don't know where they are with that, but that's how you handle that situation. In this case, because it's an event, because it's a competition, because it's because it's a competition, it becomes before you for special event licensing, just like it did last year. We have done a lot of the staff work that leads up to handing you that, but you said you don't want to deal with it until the land use boards have made their decisions. I've checked with you a couple times on that, so I know that's where you are. It is going to come to you, but we're waiting on the land use board, so that it could be a kind of a last minute thing in August that you see it. We've told them that we will get them here as soon as we can, but we're waiting for the land use boards to be done. As soon as those two things are done, you'll see it for event license approval or denial, one or the other. So that's where that all sits. I think that's it for now. I got more on finance stuff, but we can do that with the budget. It fits there better.
Okay.
And you have two chiefs here, so there's stuff. You will have two tonight.
Yeah, it's me, I don't see,
Haven't seen the other one yet? Jay's coming too, so.
Yeah.
I won't give you their name.
So we're gonna go to the, under general business, A, and open our discussion with the board here.
Did you want to do assessing first, or?
Oh, yeah, sorry, well, we had that one, sorry, you're right, I skipped over that, my bad. We do have the one assessment for the elderly exception. Any questions on it, guys, or pretty straightforward?
It's pretty straightforward.
Do we have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion the select board approve the elderly exemption for map 1, lot 192, as per Avatar recommendations.
Okay.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Okay. So moving on to general business right now, we'll start off with section A, since we'll be waiting for the fire chief. If he was here, we'd probably push that off quickly, but since he's not, we will open that up. As of Article 20, during our town votes, the people of the town of Nottingham voted to abolish the road standards set in place that we, as a board, set in place a year ago? Somewhere around that?
Yeah, maybe 9 months.
December.
Yeah.
December, okay. 7 months ago. So we'll open that up to discussion with everybody here on what they want to talk about, whether we go with what the town says and what the town people voted for. Or we did have advice from our attorney. Chris, did you have that advice?
Yeah,
Does the board-
I sent you a link to that. I have it here in front of me if you want to refer to any piece of it. It was in your same email that your agenda was in. It had links to the policy and to council's recommendation.
That was the previous, that's not the one that came in this week, though.
Yeah, they came this week, they both come together.
From Kelly?
Yep.
Yes, Friday's email from Kelly has a sentence about this subject that
Oh,
lists.
sorry, okay. Yeah, sorry.
Why do I have not that email? Well, we have a choice to make right now.
Wait, so I'm confused. Because this is an opinion on Article 19.
Keep going. Next letter.
Got it, sorry.
What's the name of the document? Which one is it?
It's in the Kelly's email.
Yeah.
There's a
from-
link to it.
Gotcha.
And that was on Friday?
Yeah, when she sent it out.
Betsy's. I have Chris's at the Watercross event. I apologize, I don't have that,
If you look in the email that she sent, not the attachments, right in the middle of the email, it says road standards policy is on the agenda. Light of the town meeting on Article 20, the policy is here, legal opinion on the article is here, it's just a link.
Could you speak up, Donna?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just,
Thank you.
yeah, it's just referring to the meeting packet email that we get from Kelly, or that we got from Kelly Delaire for this, and she's just referencing on the road standards policy, the link to the policy, which you guys have seen probably. And then the legal opinion from our lawyer on, the next steps for the board based on the vote at the election. So we'll get
Can
into
you
that.
forward that to me right now quickly?
Sure.
'Cause I can't see it anywhere on here.
Tyler, Tony, do you have it?
I do, I have it.
Tony, you got it?
Yep.
Well, how do you want to, I mean,
What's that?
I'm gonna ask how you guys want to proceed. I mean, what do you guys want to discuss on this?
Well, I think, just to kind of, to summarize what I'm reading as far as what the lawyer is saying is that, well, first off, let me say one thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this policy has nothing to do with the roads that were accepted as town roads. Correct? Okay, so it's a completely separate issue, has nothing to do with the roads that were accepted. What this has to do is road standards going forward and would be used as a guide, again, stop me if I'm misspeaking, but it would be used as a guide when town roads are getting updated or they need work. And it's not saying that road A, needs work, we're gonna bring it up to this standard. It's just kind of over time, what the highway department at the director of public works discretion would be to move roads in that direction. Did I say that correctly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, its purpose is in the first sentence. It says, to guide those reconstructions, relocations, or the acceptance of otherwise private roads. So things that are now private that may become considered for Class 5 status in the future. A future board could look at this policy
And,
and use
Okay.
it in that context as well.
okay,
Don't
In
have
new
to-
construction.
And new construction not governed by the planning board's processes.
right, which means new developments.
Yes, but
Essentially.
most new developments will be governed by the planning board's process. So
Correct.
in practical terms, this will really affect those three things we already started.
Yep, okay. So what I'm reading from the legal opinion on this is that the authority over roads, including maintenance and setting road standards, is given to the Board of Selectmen by state statutes, including RSA 41:11 and RSA chapters 229 and 231. So, and it goes on further to say this is a direct delegation from the New Hampshire legislature, which can be taken away by a vote at the town meeting. So there's two different levels of things. There are some things that are board policy and some things that are, like the acceptance of roads, the will of the voters, right? So, all I'm trying to do is level set, you know, the way things are looked at. So it doesn't impact the roads that were accepted. It does lie within the authority of the board to establish this type of policy. And so when there is a petition warrant article like this, it is considered advisory in nature if the, you know, the decision-making lies with the board. So that's kind of where we are. Do we have any emergency lanes left now?
Yes.
Okay.
We do?
Everything that used to be an emergency lane was not accepted at this year's town meeting.
About how many miles is it? Because we had about 10.
5, maybe
So
less.
half?
So about half.
No, much low, no, we accepted the vast majority of our
Right.
emergency lanes as class 5 roads, so, I bet it's less than 5 miles now. Especially with North River Lake and Highland from 2019's acceptance, those used to be emergency lanes as well, so the vast majority,
Okay.
but not all.
Okay. Okay.
Well, my personal opinion, I was never a fan of having the road standards in the beginning, so my policy still stays the same, that we didn't need these. So I stand with the voters on it, of not having these standards for the town. But that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you, but where I get hung up is that we don't have any road standards. And we're probably one of the few towns in the state that doesn't have them.
But with adoption of keeping these standards, these new roads that are accepted, could the town get sued on them because if we don't bring them up in a timely fashion?
No, this isn't a commitment to bring roads up to any, like I said, it's not, okay, as of Tuesday, because we adopted this, every road has to be at this level. It's not like that.
Yeah, it's not a statement of legal obligation. Yeah, I think we discussed that when we were first working on these standards, that it was the ideal that we wanted to work towards, right? Or the baseline that we wanted to set, like, for new construction, like we had said. But not an immediate commitment to bring all roads up to this standard. It would be as they are reconstructed over time, right? As we go through our road maintenance schedule and each road comes up in turn, right? If it's time to reconstruct a road, then it'll be reconstructed according to the standards. If it's just, an overlay or brush clearing or ditch clearing or whatever, then that's what happens in that year.
So the scenarios where this would apply, it's like, it doesn't matter, new developments have their own set of standards.
If it's a subdivision and it has a road,
Yep, then there's different
planning board
standards.
will govern that.
And those standards have been in place for a long time. What would be another scenario where, it wouldn't really be a scenario where there's a new road that's outside of a subdivision, would there?
Not likely.
Yeah.
No, it's theoretically possible, but in this town, that is very unlikely, I would think.
Right, right. Now, did you say that it would come into play for the roads that are currently emergency lanes that weren't accepted as town roads, if they wanted to be accepted a town road?
Only if,
The board so chooses. No,
No.
sorry.
no, only if an acceptance was conditioned upon any standards. Right, you, two, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, I don't remember, 2 or 3 years ago, Moore's Road was accepted as a Class 5 road, the article that
Was amended.
that
Yep.
passed to do that said it's accepted as a Class 5 road, subject to the conditions set by the Board of Selectmen, or some language to that effect.
Yeah, yeah.
So town meeting said, yes, we'll accept this road, but you have to get it by the Selectmen standards first, right?
Yep.
You didn't have standards at the time you did that, but that's what the warrant article said.
Yep.
That came from an amendment at the town meeting, and there you are. That road remains a private road because nobody's asked what those standards are to get it to that point.
Yep.
The roads accepted in 2020 and 2021 did not have any such condition
Yep.
to meet any standards, so these standards don't apply to those.
Correct.
And those standards, this is a selectman's document, so it can change at any time. The selectmen at the time can edit it however they wish. You came under blistering criticism in 2020 because the board proposed amending a warrant article to make it subject to conditions.
We came under blistering criticism way before that because we didn't have standards.
Right, but then you tried to amend a warrant article. You, the board, collectively did this in
Yep.
2020. 20, right?
Yes.
And were criticized for trying to amend the thing to the point where you didn't have standards. You said you want to make it subject to the standards, but you didn't have any standards.
Correct.
Right, so that was one of the genesis points for
Yep.
this document was
Yep. Yep.
that. So
Yep.
it's all moot for all of those, but
Yep.
Sorry, I'm just reading up.
Yep.
The one part here was after research of state statutes and case law, this warrant article is valid and enforceable if approved by the town residents, which it overwhelmingly was. And if the town residents want to accept the road in any condition, this is within the authority of town meeting.
that's Article 19.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
19.
well, I know, but it's just,
And that's what happened.
yeah.
Yeah. So with Article 20, Article 20 is different because, like I said, that authority lies with the board, not with town meeting.
Yeah, my worry is, if we rescind them, we will face a situation at some point where we're gonna need road standards again. And we put a lot of work into this, into developing this. And if we have to go through and develop it again, it's probably gonna look very much like this. Anyways,
A lot of it is based on the state anyway, right?
boilerplate state standards.
Yep. Now, that also doesn't mean that the board doesn't have, the board has some authority as well if if a road was to become a town road, if we have these standards, do we have the authority to say, we're not gonna make you meet all of these standards at this point in time, but we want to see these minimum pieces of it met?
In the context of
Well-
acceptance, or?
So where I'm going with this is, at one point, we were, many years ago, well, 2 years ago, we were working on standards for emergency lanes that were different than this. And so, do we still have that flexibility if we only have this one set of standards?
This applies to Class 5 roads only.
Yeah, but,
Emergency lanes are not Class 5.
I understand that, but if an emergency lane, if one of the remaining emergency lanes came to us and said, went to town meeting again and said, Well, if they said as is, like this one, then it wouldn't be any different than what we have now. But if it said, you know, according to standard, would it have to meet all of these standards, or does one of the boards have the authority to say, you know, the conditions are this, some subset of all of this?
I think it's most likely that a condition in a warrant article would give the deciding authority to the selectmen, not to a document or to another board. So
Okay.
if that were the case, which it always has been in our experience and logically would be,
Yep,
then the board at that time could set whatever standard that
got it.
they
Yep.
wanted that to be for that particular road.
Yep,
That
okay.
particular time.
We've generally got that kind of flexibility with most of our policies anyways, right? I mean,
All of them.
Yeah,
yeah, so we do have discretion to
Change your mind.
adjust on the fly as we need to, because no two roads are the same, you know?
so I don't know, I agree with you, John, in that, you know, we heard from voters, you know, their thoughts on it, but I like the idea of having the standard, so that becomes the guidepost for what we're doing with roads in town.
Donna, may I speak as the person that wrote that article?
You have to ask the chair if you can speak.
May I speak?
Sure.
My name's,
What is your name?
We're just allowing Kip to speak right now. This is not going to be an open conversation for people to come up.
okay,
Just because he's allowed to speak right now because he's the one that, he actually wrote the Article 20. So we're giving him the option and the things to speak only right now. So,
thank you very much. Well, you know, we wrote the article because we felt that this road standard was put in place to block the roads. But as you're talking about now, the people spoke to say they don't want this. Your lawyers are telling us that, I guess, that there's an issue with it, and you're saying that you don't like it. But the bottom line is the people spoke. And it sounds like, as far as Moore's Road, is it? That had the article that you had this amendment put on his warrant stating that he had to bring it up to a standard that didn't exist. Well, how the hell can that be legal? If it didn't exist, it didn't exist. So you really can't tell them to do something that isn't there. And the people spoke about this. So the bottom line is that you didn't have anything, you didn't have any right to say to this guy, you had to bring it up to a standard that doesn't exist. So what the hell are we talking about? I mean, the people spoke. The people said they wanted to get rid of this standard. So just get rid of it, and if you feel we need a better standard, then write it. But in the meantime, the history's the history. You can't go back in history and tell this gentleman that he can't do it.
So that's a whole separate issue.
No, it isn't.
So Chip,
It's not a separate issue.
Chip, I just want to, for the purpose of
Okay, I'll be
just,
quiet.
no, I just want to have this discussion. I'm not arguing
problem.
or anything, okay? What would be the value in us saying, okay, we're going to rescind this standard and not have this standard, but then we're going to revisit it so that we have a standard?
But the value of it is, the standard is absolutely ludicrous. I mean, there isn't a road in town for passing.
Correct.
So, what kind of a standard is that?
As I said, it's the aspiration of what we want to work towards, right? So if, you know,
So we're gonna work towards digging up every town, every dirt road in town and
no,
every road in town?
no,
Well,
it's,
that's what you just stated.
no, it's not what I just said. What I'm saying is that if they're going out, Ledge Farm's probably a bad example, but if they're going out and they're doing work on Ledge Farm, right? And they have to make decisions about what they're gonna do, it's gonna be, okay, well, we know we have to do this part of it, but we know this is the road standard, so we're gonna influence what we're doing here to get us closer to that standard. It's not like we're gonna go out and say, okay, we're picking your road, you need to be up to
Well,
the
you're
standard.
taking the state standard and just rubber stamped it into Nottingham, and it just doesn't kind of fit in an old town like this.
It's standard to what most other towns are doing.
You know, I mean,
It is.
just because most people are doing something wrong doesn't mean we have to follow suit. You know, I mean, I'm an advocate to say, we do need some standard, but the standard that has been proposed has been voted down by the people. The people said no, and a large amount. So why aren't we listening to the people? Isn't that what we had a warrant for, was to listen to the people? I mean, God forbid, I mean, that's what justice is about in this country. That's what this country was founded on. The will of the people, not the will of the BOS, not the will of you and me. It was the will of the people. And that's the reason I wrote, that's the reason I did this, instead of going through a legal source, was to go to the people, which is a damn right way to go, is to go to the people and have them speak. And believe me, it was a gamble on my part. So I'm saying, personally, that everything prior to this, the standard is gone. So whatever was written back 2 years ago on Moore's Road is junk. He has the same right as every other road in this town to be accepted as is.
He already got accepted, so,
Pardon me?
he already got accepted. Moore's Road's already a town's road, so
It's
Oh,
not,
well, maybe I'm using
it's
the wrong.
not,
that wasn't part of the,
No, it wasn't.
because
Wasn't an article.
It wasn't, because they already had an article.
It was a-
that
it
passed.
was
oh, I'm sorry, my bad, go
a
So
year
we
earlier.
didn't put it in there on purpose because it had an article that passed. And so we didn't want to skew the issues with the past article, but now we have to defend the right, his right, to say he has the same right as every other damn road in town, every other road that we passed. You cannot say to anybody that you, just because you passed a warrant in front of the people at a meeting that was illegal because you didn't have a standard, so how the hell can you say he had to have a standard? And that's wrong, because there was no standard for him to have, so that it was a moot point. Thank you.
thank you, Kip. Again, my opinion still has changed. I would go with what the people said and abolish the standards.
I'm probably gonna have tomatoes thrown at my house, but I see the value in having the standards, and I don't believe that the standards
You wanna
have.
make a motion? Or
I,
do we need a motion for this, or do we just keep the standards as it is?
It's there until you rescind it or change it.
so the motion has to be to rescind.
And we're accepting the roads as is, just like they are. So that means the town doesn't have to, we do just like we have been, plowing, this, that. I mean, we're not going out there to, you know, bring them up to class 5, 4, whatever roads. They are up, they are, and they're ours now. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind having a standard as we go forward for, you know, people coming in. I mean, they may think they can come in and just, you know, build a private road and say that we'll have it to a development or something, so. Wait a minute, we can't do what? We can't do any road standards at all for future roads in Nottingham, are you saying? Is that what you just said, or?
No, I didn't say
Oh,
that.
oh, okay, all right.
What I did say was that the standard that you did have is ludicrous. It just doesn't fit the roads in Nottingham. None of the roads in Nottingham would pass that standard. What I said, to write a standard that was realistic. That's what I said.
Okay.
Don't take the state standard and rubber stamp it. And the other thing I said was that Moore's Road had a standard put against it that didn't exist. So how could that be a legal standard that wasn't there? I mean, it's a poof, you didn't have anything. So my opinion, and the opinion of the voters were, the standard doesn't stand. You need to come up with something a little bit more reasonable. And the opinion of people, it was that the roads are the roads. You passed the standard when Moore's Road came in, you put an amendment to his warrant that was not legal. You didn't have a standard to hold it, so how the hell are you gonna hold it to it? So you have to just, in my opinion, and the opinion of the people around, is to drop that standard and let him follow suit with the rest of the roads. And whatever happens, you know, if there's the other boards will take care of any of the other issues that come up. If somebody wants to do a housing development or whatever, we have standards, we have people that, and bureaus that will take care of that. You know, I mean, if you're gonna put in a housing development, you have to take care of the road, you have to tile the road, you have to have proper drainage, you have to have all this stuff, and so you're protected in the long run. So the bottom line is, you've been taking care of this damn road for so long, what's the problem? I mean, we're just being a little bit out of line at that meeting. You tried to do it to us, it didn't work, it got voted down 300-1 supposedly. I mean, everybody was raising their hands saying, you're not gonna do it, because we had the experience before. So I'm just here pleading to say, come up with a better standard. Nobody's saying no standards are better, because that's not true. We all need standards, we all need to have something to go by. I'm just saying, when you're talking about changing grades, and you're talking about this, 40-foot wide roads, I mean, and millions and billions and billions of dollars to upgrade these, nobody's asking for that. Nobody at all. I mean, that's all poof. I mean, we're not asking for
Well,
that.
these standards don't meet what you just said, so,
They don't?
no. 'Cause
Did you
they're-
read them?
Yeah, I've read them. Have you read them?
I've read them 2-3 times.
Okay, good.
I mean, they're kind of strict,
It only talks gravel surface being 22 feet wide, not 40 feet wide.
but whatever. I mean, it did exaggerate.
Well, you're speaking in public, make sure you speak and speak correctly, because we don't want to offend.
I will stand
We don't want to
corrected.
get people to be
You're right, I will stand corrected. I
misinterpreted
exaggerated.
when you get the chance to speak, so.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I got you, Kimmy, don't hurt feelings, I'm just,
No, you're right, I apologize.
just making
But-
sure that,
No, I'm not a proposal of no standard, just that I think we have to look at our roads and our people as being the people that voted. They don't want it the way it was written, and that's life. And also, no, you really ought to look at Moore's Road as being not proper, because there was no standard. Again, so thank you so much, guys. I'm not angry with anybody. I think you guys have really grabbed the ball. We handed you a big job, and nobody expects to get it done overnight. I mean, it could take a few years. And God bless you guys, and we really appreciate it.
so we could keep the standards as written, or we could vote to rescind these, and then revisit the standards at a later down the road.
We can certainly,
Then we appease the voters for what they looked for, what they voted for, and then maybe we can get some advice of what we need to do to tighten this up so that the minimum impact on the town is listed.
or,
Again, please, I'm just throwing out ideas.
no, I agree. Or we could leave them in place and as a board, agree to revisit if that's what you want. And then once we have a set of, a new draft standards that we're happy with, then we can vote to adopt the new standards, thereby making this one no.
But this board could change,
It's gonna change.
right?
It's gonna change. I'm not in favor of kicking cans down the road, particularly because for all of this, we've been kicking the can down the road for decades, so.
Before you vote, can other people comment or no?
Not yet, because we're still discussing it.
Okay, sorry.
Anybody have any other comments about this?
I mean, at this rate, we'll be talking about this for another 8 years, and
I absolutely know. That's why, again, there's
Yeah, right,
two options to
and-
make, and somebody could make a,
again, it's.
John,
it's-
where do you think, do you have an opinion on where the particular parts of the standards are that would be the ones that we would want to revisit?
Well, I mean, we don't, again, one of my simple ideas is to get, what's the average width of one of these roads that we have, or of these new appointed roads? If the average width is 15 or 16 feet, even though it's not state, maybe we just leave it at that. Because we still have to decide what we own for roads.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's some preliminary stuff that we need to figure out as these are newly acquired town roads, which might help us dictate what we do with standards. In my opinion.
Yeah,
on what
yeah,
to-
no, I know.
Because there's certain things that are gonna be different than certain areas are gonna be not.
They still, in my mind, they're still two separate issues, because we've accepted the roads, they're town roads,
Correct.
right? So,
And we accept them as is.
as is, right, so that doesn't mean that all of a sudden we can turn around to those roads and say, no, you don't meet the standard, right? We can't, that's,
Well, it's the cost effective bringing them up to at this standard. I look at it as this thing as too, as a money. How much money we're gonna have to spend over the years to bring these up, whether we leave them alone at the way they are.
oh, I agree,
I'm for just leaving them alone the way that they are.
absolutely. Yeah, so we don't have to bring them up to the standards. Right? There are some that are in pretty rough shape that, it's gonna take time. And, I mean, there's a number that are in rough shape that it's gonna take time to even get them up to, not even close to these standards.
So, in other words, we wouldn't be technically legally obligated to bring any road up to standard.
No, the
So it could stay the same road for 30 years the way it sits today.
voter said as is.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Plenty of escape language in there for the board of the future to pick and choose what it wants in this standard, that's
Yeah.
intentional.
For a future road, we've got the flexibility to say, well, all right, this road's in good shape, other than, it's got some pinch points, we're gonna let those slide. The board has that flexibility, if it's otherwise in acceptable shape, if the drainage is good and if the right-of-ways are marked out properly and so on, right? It's future roads that we need these for. Not the roads that were just accepted, it's future roads.
Hey, John, can I explain the as-is part?
No, it's pretty self-explanatory, Kip. It's as is.
No? Okay.
Well, as is means as is.
Not necessarily.
Well, again, that's a different interpretation, but we're gonna stick with it as is meaning as is. The way they sit today is the way that they are.
That's your opinion, Lake Shore.
Well, Ledge Farm, that's, again, there's safety hazards which you have to fix on a road. Again, we're not gonna get off the subject here.
Okay.
So the other thing, the last line of the standard says, the Board of Selectmen may waive particular provisions of this standard upon a finding that it is in the best interest of the town, and such waiver will not undermine the purpose of this standard.
That's where our flexibility comes from.
That's where it comes from, right there. So if there's no way, the minimum width of a right-of-way shall be 15.5, I'm sorry, 50 feet. If there's no way, if there's no way for the town to do that, then this gives us flexibility to say, okay, we're not gonna do that.
Yeah, again, I'm open for whatever you guys,
Yeah.
we as a board have the right to make whatever decision we're gonna make on this as proven, so if somebody wants to speak up and say, let's keep them and pass the vote, then let's do it, I mean, somebody's gotta come up and say what they wanna do, or how we think on it.
Well, I think it has to be a vote to rescind, because these
Right.
standards are in effect until we say otherwise, so somebody has to make a motion to rescind, and it has to pass the vote.
Well, then, to be the one that, I'll make that motion.
No, you
Okay.
can't, you're the chairman, I'll make it.
Well-
I'll make the motion that we rescind the minimum standards for town roads.
Do we have a second?
What?
You guys okay?
Yeah, sorry.
Do we have a second? Aye. Hey,
Where's Ben when you need him?
then we'll have to, I mean, if All in favor? Okay, well, we're at a stalemate till Ben gets back.
Well, at least give us the motion. We could
Well,
be,
do
there
you
could be
want-
an
sorry.
abstinence.
Well, how do you vote then?
We'll just, you have to ignore
Finish the
it.
vote.
Finish the vote, say all opposed.
So all opposed? So there you go, sorry.
Okay.
Just seemed like we knew it was coming.
You
What?
weren't going to allow comment before you took the vote.
No.
It's not a public hearing.
I just asked.
No,
Yeah.
did the standard, did the standard get voted down?
Chris, what happens in a
No.
tie?
No.
Because
It was still.
the board voted 2 and 2, so
Okay.
we have to wait for,
So you're basically telling me those are the will of the people.
excuse me?
Just
Well, we have to wait for another board member to make, because it's a tie.
No, that's not true.
No, you can bring it up again, you can have another vote, that's,
The vote as it just stands rescinds them.
no, the vote that you just took does not
I know it's not
pass.
a forum, but
So
you're
it-
going against the people's
I
will.
thought it had to do with the way that the language was.
You
but-
are.
No, the motion fails for lack of a majority, so
Got
the
it.
motion to rescind fails, so it's,
Okay.
the standards stay in place.
Okay. Board can revisit it when Ben's here.
So,
Yeah.
do we table this for till Ben gets back, till we have a 5-member board? And do a vote then?
Yeah.
We can
Well,
do
with
that.
everybody?
In the meantime, they stay in place.
Okay,
Yeah.
for the meantime, they'll stay in place as it is. So we'll close that part of the meeting. Anybody have any, well, not open, but what happened tonight was 2 voted yes, 2 voted nay. So obviously,
Excuse me, John, is there gonna be any decision on Moore's Road?
I wasn't planning on discussing anything on Moore's Road tonight.
You weren't, okay?
No, that
Is
wasn't.
there gonna be any discussion in the future on Moore's Road?
Well, that was a warrant article, and it's not up to us to rehash a warrant article and revote it. So that would have to go to town meeting again, or go to the ballot now that we're SB2. It's not up to us to revisit a town vote.
It wasn't. Yeah, you just did.
Because this issue is under the board's authority, not town election.
I understand that part, I
Okay.
understood that when it was written, so.
I know where you're coming from, that's a
Yeah.
tough one. As far as this goes, what I would ask is, because I can't believe that every single provision is, out of bounds, or, read it in detail, come up with suggestions. If there are provisions in here that, like you said, just don't fit, and you gotta look at it through the lens of the town as a whole, not just private roads and not just new construction and not just the ones
No,
that,
I would love it. You know what I mean, and so would everybody else, I mean, that's a fact. And,
yeah.
I hope we're off camera, but, you guys are doing happy.
we're on.
I mean, I'm really happy what's going on. I think that some wiggle room is allowed. I think that maybe, as you said, maybe we have to go to the town about Moore's Road, I don't know. But if you look at it at the onset, that's not a legal, it's not, I don't know if it's legal or not, I'm not a lawyer, but there was no town standard, so how in the hell could you vote on it? So, to me, that, I don't see that you have to go back to the people because we did something in error. Maybe we have to publish it in the newspaper or whatever we have to do. I don't know, but going back to the
Okay.
people in order to have him, the whole is. not-
Again, I'm not ready to discuss Moore's Road because I wasn't prepared for it. I didn't research it.
No, no,
yesterday,
no,
so
I
I wish we'd just stop bringing up Moore's Road for right now and we'll address it as it comes up.
I'm fine with what you said, I mean, I just don't,
I understand where you're coming from on there, from what you just
so I
previously
just
said.
wanted to drop over the cliff.
Yeah.
And just not get down.
No,
John, the other thing is, we haven't heard anything from anybody on Moore's Road.
nothing. So that's why, again, I wasn't even
So,
prepared to listen.
No, it's just one of those things that we did as a community, and
Yep.
it just doesn't seem right to do. And we all make mistakes. I mean, nobody's holding you guys to the fire.
So we'll push these road standards till next meeting, till when Ben gets here? Okay?
And please go with the will of the people.
We'll open that discussion again.
Thank you for supporting the will of the people, John.
Well, you guys have got to understand.
So we're gonna move on to our rest of our agenda right now, and we're gonna push off the financials to later, since we do have, is Chief Woodman here? Wasn't she just here?
She got bored. They may both be out there for all I know.
Yeah.
Probably.
Then we will move on to our appointments. Good night, we'll talk to you soon.
One both. Safely in the hallway.
Don't blame him.
Chickens.
Here, it's really hot in here.
Fun.
Yes.
Chicken hiding out in the hall.
No, it's literally no room. I can't move my chair. I'm sitting on the hallway.
Is that noise better with air, or do you want the noise and a little breeze? Or
I want the breeze.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you wanna grab that door?
Practice? Oh. It's still better out there.
Yeah, but they're all gonna sit out there for another 10 minutes, so. Okay, moving on to the next meeting, we do have Chief Woodman here, for the Police Department.
Yes,
Mind coming up? and-
sure. Thank you guys for meeting with me. Haven't talked to you guys in like 7 months, really.
This is your first public meeting.
Yeah, exactly. Before I go into drone stuff, do you have any questions for me or want to know how things are going?
Yeah, how are things going?
Things are going good. Knock on wood. Now, we're in our busy season, obviously, right now. And I'm sure the fire chief can testify to that. But yeah, we've just been really busy with stuff, but typical of this time of year. And, you know, I mean, before the pandemic, this is how we were. We were busy, we were, you know, chasing calls, doing what we're doing, and we're kind of there now. So, but other than that, everything's going good. I'm sure that you guys know that I do have somebody that's leaving, an officer that's leaving to another department, and that should be within the next couple of weeks or so. But we're in a unique position that I have somebody that can take that spot. So, but yeah, everybody's good. Everybody's healthy. People are trying to take vacations right now, so it's a little busy.
Yeah.
But they want to get their time in. There's been a lot of training this year. I took advantage of any training that I could send the guys to. We had to do the academy right now. They call it 3x2s. We're doing ethics, de-escalation, and cultural diversity. We have to do that every year now. And then they're pushing again. So right now, police officers have to do 8 hours of in-service training a year. That's the minimum. And next year, it's going to go to 16. The next year after that, it'll go up to 24. And the goal is to do it 40 hours. So they'll do it incrementally.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've done, I have an officer that just got certified in accident reconstruction. I sent a couple of officers, you know, to get certifications and stuff that we can do in-house. A lot of times, we have to train with other departments because they have somebody that is an instructor, say, in defensive tactics or OC spray or something like that. But what I went ahead and did is I got training for a few officers that we can do that now in-house. So we don't have to, you know, kind of coordinate sometimes with other agencies to do that, even though a lot of times it's good to do. We're keeping it as much as we can in-house, so we don't have to rely on other agencies. So that's pretty much it.
How's the state park been this year? Good?
Yeah, yes. Again, I'll knock on wood again. It has, you know, nothing huge. I think with the weather, honestly, hasn't been the same. You know, even our details on the weekends, a lot of them have gotten canceled because it's been, you know, monsoon Sundays, I call it. But so yeah, just the regular stuff, we'll get the loud noise complaints. But we haven't, I think the reservation system works well. Have you guys heard about that? Again, you can't just show up there, you have to make a reservation, and so that, I think, keeps things, at least they know numbers, they know if they need to call us, if they're looking at more, more people being there, but.
We still get paid for those details even if we don't have to go in the
Oh,
ring, don't we?
so the state of New Hampshire will pay us what our detail rate is. So when we do those state park details, the officer gets what he
Okay.
or she for Nottingham would get. If they, work in their own agency, they get whatever they pay out as. But yeah, we get whatever our detail rate is. So do you want me to tell you? Do you want to know?
I was just-
Yeah. Yeah, we do. We just get our detail rate.
Okay.
If you don't work the detail, you don't get paid.
Oh, yeah, exactly, yeah, so when they cancel it, yeah, exactly,
That's lost
yeah.
revenue. The weather
Right.
is lo-
Yeah, that too,
That's
yeah.
where my
That's a good
question
point.
is, we're not making any money,
No,
we know it
we're-
rains on
right.
Sunday, but
Right,
we're not putting
right.
a detail over.
Right, exactly, yeah, exactly. Yep,
So, that's more of my question, so,
sorry.
okay, no?
I didn't know what you were asking.
No, hey, I should have been better off and more clear.
Nobody
Yeah,
can
you
read
have to
John's
speak
mind.
select.
Yeah, exactly, do I have to speak? So I'm here tonight is, I'd like to establish a drone program in Nottingham. Drones are extremely useful. I'm assuming you all know what a drone is, the capabilities, what we would use it for, especially in a densely populated area like Nottingham, where we have the state park over, 5,000 acres of wooded area that we get, search and rescue calls all the time. It's good for everything, accident reconstruction, area photography, to find people, to locate individuals that have mental illness or some kind of diminished capacity. We had a call back in the wintertime. I won't go into specific details, but it was a situation where a drone would have been really handy. It was a juvenile that, got lost, and having that drone handy, it just would have saved time. Because really what we have to do is we call on upstate agencies for canines, for dogs to come out and do what they need to do. And this is really the technology that police industries are going to, that police forces are going to. So I did a lot of research. We actually right now at the police department, we have a drone on loan. A company, of course, because they want our business, have lent us the drone for the past 2 weeks, and we've been able to do some stuff with it and see, the ins and outs of it. So basically what it entails is I have to, there's 2 officers that I send to training. They have to do, it's like 107 training it's called. It's basically like FAA stuff to be able to fly it in police capacity, so we can do, in order to use a drone like in police official capacity, we have to be certified to do so we know what the laws and rules and regulations are to do it. The training is online, so the individual can sit at the police department for a couple hours and do it. The cost is between $100 to $200. And that, like I said, squares them away. They're all certified on it. The drone that we're looking at, the company is out of Merrimack, New Hampshire. I did a lot of research on different prices, on different things. This drone will have the infrared cameras, it won't be the brand FLIR, but it has the infrared technology. So obviously, a lot of these calls that we get are at night, so we need that thermal imaging to be able to locate individuals. It's just, like I said, it's where we need to be. I have an opportunity right now to get one. The cost is about $6,900. That comes with, though, like I said, the thermal camera. You need a tablet and some other. It's like a workstation device that you work it. But then we can set up instant command. So if I'm working a call with the fire department, my officer, we can coordinate stuff, set up the drone. And we have that tablet, which is literally, an officer can be flying the drone in another spot, and myself and the fire chief and incident command can be set up with the tablet. We can be looking and telling, him or her where we need to send it or where they need to go or
Yeah.
what information we need to give them. So it's really, like I said, it's kind of innovative. Other agencies in the area have them. The closest, I think Candia has one. Northwood, I think they have one or they're getting one.
I was curious,
Yeah.
Jay, if there were any additional uses for the fire department.
For wildland fires, we would probably request it if the police department had. For searches, definitely, how about ice rescue
Yeah,
type situations? water rescues where we can localize. You know, we're pretty good on the cell phone calls, the 911 and coordinates kind of name us. It definitely would help us for those situations.
Yep.
And I support what you're saying.
Is it,
Can the infrared help spot like hot spots after brush fires to make sure that, is that what you were?
Yes, and
Saying.
also to initially probably scope out the, you know, the extent of the fire. One of the first things you're supposed to do is find out how big it is, and get all the way around it. And then sometimes that's part of the challenge because of terrain or time of day and stuff. Yes, we'll be able to find hot spots.
Did you have a tuck-away situation on a cliff this year where you couldn't actually put eyes on the person?
Absolutely, it was in the evening. It would have worked very well for that. That was kind of a rare occasion where
You could hear them, but you couldn't see them?
climber had dropped his rope and his backup rope and was trapped out on a ledge. It was nighttime, and that would have most likely, it wouldn't have hurt, let me say that.
Yeah, it
okay?
saves time.
We try to get state resources, you know, helicopters in there with lights and that, you know, so a drone would definitely have been an aid to that situation.
is that $6,900 a one-time?
It is, so there's no reoccurring cost, it's a one-time fee. Any kind of maintenance or anything, it's guaranteed. I think the warranty is a year, but anything else they can do, because it's local, it's Merrimack, they can do it right there. So it's very easily, readily available.
So if it's crashed, it can be fixed?
Right, exactly, yes.
Well,
What's the
it happens
lights?
more often than not, so
I know,
that's-
it does, yeah.
What's the lifespan on that? Is it like 5 to 7 years like any other tech
Yeah, well,
device?
yeah, because the technology changes, and then there's things like you can keep the original, you know, drone, but then you add this, that, and the other to it. But yeah, they said about 5 to 10 years, they said. That's, yeah.
Do we have room in the budget for it?
Yeah, like, if you look at the police department budget, I think there's plenty of room in there. I suggest to Fawn that she comes, because we didn't plan on this in a budget context, and it's enough that, you know, it's the kind of decision you want to get your thoughts on before you make it. She's got a line item for equipment, but it won't cover this cost. So it would be-
What about the cost of training somebody to,
Yeah, so like I said, Tyler, the initial training is that 107A, they call it, or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's about $100 to $200 per officer. I'm taking and sending 2 officers.
Okay.
So it's like, you know, the most would be $400 for the training.
I support it.
Me too.
I have no problem with it.
Perfect. No, I appreciate it. It's, like I said, super useful. There was actually a situation today in Lee, I don't know if you guys heard it.
one time, whether it be you guys or fire or whatever, getting somebody lost up on the mountain there or whatever, it's worth it, you know?
Right.
The resources that you have to put into it and it would cost, so.
So will somebody from fire get trained on it too?
So we were talking about that. I think that we'll just keep it, not to convolute the matter, keep it with my department, but work hand in hand with them. I mean,
Yeah.
we literally, like every call that we get, we're pretty much with them and they're with us. And this is
Yeah.
just a coordinated effort to expedite what's going on. And sometimes, like I said, and he can testify to, time really is of the essence when they're out there, they're lost or stranded, so, or some bad guys running away. Yeah.
Do we need a motion to approve this? No?
No.
Okay.
No, while you're here, give them a sneak preview of the kinds of things you're looking at in,
Oh, yes.
for,
2022.
yeah.
So, just to keep us, we're kind of lagged with technology and with certain things. I'd be looking for in-car cameras for 2022 and tasers. Those are just big ticket items that, I don't know, do a warrant article or however you suggest, but yeah. Just to keep us on key with everything. The in-car cameras are a huge benefit. There's 100 different reasons why. I've priced everything out. I got quotes on everything, and in-car cameras are about $40,000 for everything. That stores everything in an iCloud too. We won't have an additional server or anything like that. You know, cruiser will pull in, everything will download. It's constantly running when you have the in-car camera. The system is always going. And tasers for training, setup, all the tasers, everything that we need is it's another $40,000. So again.
So the in-car camera is pointed out
So the in-car camera is 360 degrees, and we wear mics too, so wherever we are, say we get out of the car too.
So it's voice activated?
It's voice activated,
Got it.
so even if I go into a house for insert reason why, and if I park in the right spot, you still get a lot on that camera, you can still see, and you get all the audio. But the difference between it, and I know that people are thinking, oh, the body worn cameras. Body worn cameras actually aren't as good. They're just right, all you view is what's in front of that officer, and a lot of times, honestly, they get knocked off. So, and then you just see scuffles and you hear, whatever you're hearing. A lot of what we do is in and around the car. Honestly, like 90% of what we do is in and around that car. So we're getting that panoramic, we're getting the audio, and then certainly if we're going, people usually come outside to talk to us anyway. So there's a lot of pros with the in-car system. Talked to several agencies that have both. They all say the in-car by far is way better than the body worn cameras.
And those will be able to change out with the new vehicles that come.
Yes, yep. So are you talking about, will they be okay with the vehicles? Will they be
Well,
compatible?
like, in 2 years, you'll be getting another vehicle. to
Yeah,
replace the
they're
vehicle.
compatible, yeah. So the company that.
We're not gonna have to go buy a whole new system to throw in that
exactly, yeah.
vehicle.
No. It's WatchGuard, and their technology would be compatible with whatever right type of car that we get, or whatever the case may be. Yep, exactly.
Are many towns around here?
Yes, yeah. I mean, a lot of towns around here have body worn and in-car cameras. And that's another pro. I mean, and I have to be honest with you, a lot of times, for whatever reason, we might know of something, and because we prefer something to be on camera, we'll request an agency that has cameras, so we know that everything is documented. So it's really a win-win if we get that. It's just like I said, not having us rely on other agencies. The same thing, I mean, honestly, with a taser, a less lethal, we'll have a call that requires certain stuff, and I mean, I've had to request through Rockingham, give me somebody with less lethal, give me a beanbag, give me a taser, and other agencies have to show up and assist us because we just don't have that. So it just, gives us other options, which you need.
How many tasers would we?
I'd get
about?
10, so that would give us 2 extra, just in case, and because you never know when one's gonna go down or if something's gonna break. There's warranties on them. I don't have the specs with me, but yeah, there's all kinds of warranties that replace this, cartridge, whatever, yeah.
So would that be the Axon Body 3?
It's the Axon, it's the newest.
Body 3.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think it is that one, yep. It's
Yeah.
the newest and.
And is that going to use the evidence.com cloud storage like
Right,
the?
exactly,
okay.
yep. Same thing with that is we can't do a lot, I think like IT, I don't know what I'm doing. Everything's gonna be iCloud. It's just easier, it makes more sense, it's less expensive, less to maintain, so. Yeah, those are just the 2 things I think to get us up to where we should be.
Right.
Thought you should have been there years ago, so.
Yeah, that's it, so, but hopefully everything's okay with it.
All right, we've been forewarned.
Yeah, and hopefully it goes good, so, yeah, that's it, this and that, and we're good.
Thanks,
You,
Fawn.
you know about that bill in the legislature to
Yes.
restrict video
Yes.
recording by law enforcement.
Yeah.
Does that also affect
No,
vehicle cameras?
No, I mean, right now, I wouldn't knock at this because that's in the works. I think that we're gonna be okay doing what we're doing to be able to video and do, but I know what you're talking about. Yes,
That would even affect the cameras we have out front. They'd have to
I
be
know.
taken down or readjusted to not
Right.
cover the road.
I know. I still think it's a plus, and I don't think it's still not gonna affect me trying to get that. I think that it's gonna
Yeah.
be something we can use, so.
How quickly is that moving through?
I wish it would die a lot quicker than it
Right.
is.
Yeah.
But if that bill passes, I'm probably gonna have to take down or redirect at least half of my cameras on campus.
Right.
Because they all like touch the road or the sidewalks in some way, so.
Good questions.
Thanks.
No problem. Thank you guys.
Thank you very
I
much.
appreciate
Thank you.
it. All right.
Thanks, chief. Now it's time for chief.
And now we have Chief Elchek here from the fire department.
Yes, sir, give me a second here to see if I can fumble around with this for a short bit of time. Where's this gonna show?
Sparky? Let's get paid for that. Look at that. Praise the all. Myself.
If you, Don, if you want to save yourself, I have printed these, so if you,
But I want to see the
you can
kids.
see the pictures, that's
I want
fine.
to see the kids.
This is the same thing he's going to show you.
First, I'm going to start, thank you for giving me the time to come and speak to you this evening. As you all know, I think I came visited last fall, sometime right after COVID was changing. It's been a challenging past year and a half. I want to thank all our members. We never closed, you know that. We were open 24/7, 365 during that whole evolution, and we'll be open in the future, okay? It was challenging in a way. We had to implement creative ways to ensure the safety of our patients and our crews. We developed new standing orders, departmental policies frequently to comply with the ever-changing CDC and, more importantly, the state guidelines from EMS. So there were challenges in the last year and a half that we've worked through. Another large challenge that we're continuing to face is PPE. Although the availability may have increased, the pricing of it, I don't know if anybody knows, has increased dramatically. A box of 100 gloves that I paid $8 for before this started at the beginning of it is up to the $25 to $30 range for a box of gloves, and that's just one of the, the normal, I want to say, operating space items we go through pretty regularly. So that's something that's going to affect us in the future, and that's where we're going. So I'll go to my slides right now. I just wanted to give you a snapshot of our incident call volumes over the last few years, and more importantly, I want to show you where we're at this year. This year, we're at 377 as of, I think that was Saturday, 377 as of Saturday. So it's, I don't expect that to diminish that much, but that has an effect on the department. Obviously, manning all those calls has an effect, okay? I'm going to go to the next slide. The next slide, which you have in front of you, I just want to tell you a little bit of the history. You all know that we migrated from 100% volunteer department back around 2000. I believe it was August in 2000 when we started hiring full-time firefighters. We went to a combination career and volunteer at that point. Where we're at now is we're a combination career, we're part-time, and we're also call members. There is compensation involved in terms of hourly wages for part-time employees, and also compensation for call members in terms of the point system. We currently have 3 positions. It takes a lot to fill those 3 positions. As you all know, our schedule is for 4 10-hour shifts. Our target is having two people on per shift from 7 o'clock in the morning till 5 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, there's a single career firefighter EMT on, and we try to augment that with a per diem partner, and that gets harder and harder because my per diem pool is quite tight. It consists of members that have other jobs during the week, and they like their weekends. That's that. The part-time portion also includes, we target to have 2 per shift on weeknights from 6 p.m. Till 10 p.m. Sunday night, we also, this year's budget, we had included 2 people on Sunday nights from 7 p.m. till 7 a.m. I've been very sparsely have been able to fill that shift. It's probably been about a half dozen times so far this year with 1 person on a Sunday night. The way I did that is I took a look at where we were figuratively, where we had a need, okay? The Monday through Friday nights, we were covered through, okay, I'll give you more. The whole Monday through Friday routine, we were covered with full-time contingent during the day, part-time contingent per diem in the evening from 6 to 10, and in the evening, we have call people. There's a mandatory call shift from home that night. So those 24 hours are covered. On Saturday night and Sundays, we were looking at having call people respond at will, and it wasn't working. We were giving up calls, EMS calls. We were relying on mutual aid kind of stuff. So Sunday night was a big one because people were going back to work, so that's why I went back looking, trying to fill that shift with per diem. They're not fully filled, but it's working, but you'll see where this is going. Next one, I'll show you response times. This is the average response time. That's from the time of the tone. That's not from the time of the 911 call, because there's a couple minute delay in the handoff between the PSAP to the dispatch center to when it gets toned. From the time of the tone till the first unit arrives on scene. This encompasses all 49 square miles of Nottingham, so there are some areas, if you have one or two calls in the shifts that are, say, Reservation Road for a search, you're talking about a 20 to 30 minute arrival time, okay? So it's going to affect these numbers. But the message here is, you can see with a crew in the station during the career shift and the D shift, the response time is 8 minutes roughly, okay? On a call, during a call time, which is the 10 p.m. Till 5 a.m. or later, 7 a.m. really, you could see that the average over that time frame is 20 minutes, okay? And I think I said this last time I was here. If I didn't, I said it in other forums, that's that space and time thing that we can't solve, because half of the time it's for people to get to the station, to get the apparatus to go to the call. So that's the reason. And as you can see, having people in the station has reduced our response times in 8 minutes as opposed to 20 minutes for a serious call. It's significant changes. Okay. Our challenge is going to be meeting the future demand and expectations for life preservation, property protection. That's what we do. That's why we're here. The number of call members continues to dwindle. The demographics of the call members, we're not getting any younger, and there, again, when I was here last time, there's no great line at the door of young people who want to join and take this on. Having difficulty filling per diem shifts, even advertising externally, and that may have something to do with the salary. Our per diem shifts aren't paying as much as Dunkin' Donuts or something like that, okay? So, you know, I don't know if that's something that would improve the, you know, the response for per diem shifts. Options for the future, and I'm talking the near-term future, 2022. We had talked about, you know, increasing the career manning by an additional 3 members to go round the clock, 2 people on shift, 24 hours for 6 days, Monday through Saturday. We would be reducing the dependence on the per diem folks, with the exception of Sunday. We would still have Sunday for call/per diem openings, okay? The funding details to be determined. You know, CIP had a rough order of magnitude number in there. There's also other impacts to that number, whether it's grants, and I'm not saying there is a grant out there. It's not easy to get. I'm not promising or anything, saying it's available. The time period of that grant is a little odd, that they're in the 2021 dispersal mode right now, and that won't be completed till August or so. It wouldn't be until next March or so that if they hold the same timetable, it'll be March of 2022 before that grant program is closed and they start awarding those grants, you know, early summer of 2022. So I don't want to get into the details of the funding, because at this level right now, it's just give you a heads up that that's what we're going to be looking at, okay? So, you know, option number 1 would be to increase our manning by 3 members, by 3 more full-time members.
So, I just want to, so if we do that, so we'll have 6 full-time, right?
Correct.
And they're gonna work 24-hour shifts, 2, and then 2, and then...
Correct. 24 on, 48 off, 24 on, 48 off, and rotate like that, okay? That's what it would rotate. With the exception of Sunday would be off, okay? On the second option, and I owe it to look into it, I'm showing, you know, in the order of likelihood or, even feasibility. Explore contracting out to a private EMS service. We don't have a lot of options with that, around here with that, okay? Based on our geography. But I owe it to have an answer to request from private companies that are in the area that may not even want to service us here. We don't have a lot of that, to see what that would cost, just to see what it would cost, okay?
That wouldn't help call time though, right?
That wouldn't help call time at all, but it would reduce some of the, the demand on the call members. We would have them on weekends or at nights, or I don't even know what that would look like. My experience with that is that they're busy in their own, and anybody who wants to listen, out there in the scanner world, you could hear, the towns that do use contracted, they're having a hard time filling their calls with those contracted. The big service in the area is AMR, and they're having a hard time filling calls in one of the neighboring towns. I don't want to get into names right now with the different options that are there, okay? But that's something that needs to get looked into, and at least have a dollar whether it's feasible or not, just to answer that question. The next option would be, look at partnering with neighboring towns. And this one, again, I have ranked as number 3, because the neighboring towns, realistically, the neighboring towns that this would possibly be even possible, potentially possible with, would be something like Northwood and Barrington. Lee doesn't transport, Deerfield doesn't transport, Fremont doesn't transport, Epping is busy enough, Raymond supports 3 different towns right now, and they can't. They partnering with Raymond wouldn't be a smart thing. So just on the surface, looking at a town like Northwood and Barrington, Barrington is 50 square miles, it's bigger than Nottingham, okay? Their call volumes of these 2 towns are greater than ours. So I think we'd buy into more of a load than we have currently, okay? To set up some agreement that we would cover their town on this night, they cover our town. I don't think that's a bargain for us at this point. So that's why it's ranked down there. I've had a very top level discussion with one of the chiefs on there, and I'll just leave it go right now. I did start that conversation. I don't think there's a lot of life in that option for where we are geographically, okay? And the size of our town, so that's that. And option 4, which is always no change, and that's not at all.
Thanks for putting it on there.
Yeah, no change, we do nothing, and we just deal with whatever happens, and that's not good, okay? So that's just a heads up where we're going. With the approval of Article 20 or so, we had the funding approved for the construction of the bunk spaces for two rooms. We're going to go forward with having those rooms, hopefully by the end of this calendar year is the target to have them done. And that's probably very optimistic, okay? But we're working on that. So. The other one, I don't want to be a surprise here, but I'm really going to lobby for purchasing a second ambulance in fiscal year 2022. Our current ambulance is a 2017, and we have 48,000 miles on it right now, 21 hours. It's not worn out by any stretch of imagination, but it's single valve failure. Towns that are comparable sizes, Stratford, Northwood, keep on going, Barrington, have a backup ambulance. They have 2 ambulances. That ambulance goes down for mechanical, even planned mechanical. We don't have a backup ambulance for our town. There's things that, there's cosmetic repairs that I've put off even through the COVID thing, that we can't get done because I don't feel comfortable with, they're not significant enough to take our ambulance out of service. Okay, and that's one of the reasons.
Could don't take this in any sort of way, I'm just gonna ask it out in general, just because, I know ambulance lights, I don't know if there's a possibility of finding ambulances like a 2017 with 50K on it, that we could buy for our second vehicle that might not have a price tag of $280.
Okay.
That might have a price tag of $150. Are those out there? I don't even know, I'm just throwing it out.
Neither do I, because I'm not,
Okay.
I don't know that.
Okay, cool.
I'm gonna tell you right now, well, I don't know, I'm just gonna say that.
Well, would you keep one, just since we're on this, would you keep one as the primary, always used one?
Alternate. alternate. I would have the 2017 as the first due for 2 weeks, the other one for 2 weeks, just trying to balance the usage on them, that sort of stuff. They would both have the same capabilities, and they both would be, that's the way I would try to balance the usage between them. Then if we lost one, I could send one out for maintenance and not be totally without an ambulance, okay? That's where. But here, to your point, I just want to point out that a new purchase price would be $280K, but taxpayers right now would be zero impact to it, because that's coming out of the billing fund, okay? Possibility, I don't know, I don't know, I don't have that answer.
How
okay?
would that impact our cycle though, right?
Well, I was getting to the same question there.
Yeah.
If you alternate them like this, we're gonna have two
Yeah.
that are the same 100,000, whenever you get rid of them, or we're getting 150,000, same almost.
Yeah,
So then we're gonna be buying two ambulances at once instead of being,
I think the 17 will be the first one out of there again, okay? I don't think we'll be buying two of them, okay? 17 already has 3 years. When we bought but 17 is in no way obsolete nor worn out, okay? Right now, we're doing it as a risk aversion to have a backup, okay? I wouldn't say we'd have to buy two. We obviously, we buy an ambulance once we have the funding for it available in the billing fund, okay? So that's, the highlight is
It
that,
wouldn't be your intention to roll them both at the
Correct.
same time?
right, sequence,
well, yeah,
I mean,
that would
like,
be-
for call purposes, you're not sending a second one as a mutual aid thing, because we probably can't staff it anyway.
Yeah, that's
right?
what I was.
well, this melds in with the career also. This keeps our call people, because there are a number, I don't have the number, I'll give you the metrics if you want for the next meeting. Back-to-back calls are increasing, that we give up the call to a mutual aid, and I don't want to, that our ambulance is tied up, it is at the ambulance, there's a second, it is at the hospital, and there's a second call, that we will be staffing that with the call people. It would keep the call people involved. There are times when you do need two ambulances on scene, obviously, for a motor vehicle accident, multiple vehicles, that sort of stuff. We wouldn't be using it as a rescue vehicle, we wouldn't be rolling that ambulance at the same time unless there was a need for a second ambulance, okay? We'd still be using utility or forestry, or engine, depending if it's a motor vehicle pieces, as that. But it wouldn't be the intent to buy two of them again at the same time, okay? The trade-in value has been, it's obviously, I got obscenely low, and there it is, $30K they're giving us for this truck here, okay? We've done that in the past, when we've had one ambulance, we've traded them in, and we've gotten, pennies on the dollar for the trade-in value of that truck. So, I think a 2017, 4,500 Ram Cummins is worth a little more than $30K right now with 48,000 miles on it, okay? With or without the box on the back, so that's what that is. So we purchase using the ambulance revolving fund. We would outfit it, which is another chunk of money, anywhere 60 to 80,000 out of the McLean Trust Fund. That wouldn't be coming out of that would be used to outfit the all the equipment that's inside. Okay.
I'm not familiar with the McLean Trust Fund.
Okay, there's a trust fund that, as of the 2020 town report, that the fire department has, it's I don't want to say belongs, I don't know how to say it. Well, a gentleman bequeathed that trust fund to
Yeah, great.
the fire department.
Yeah.
There was $116,000 in it. In the past, we were allowed to tap only the interest up until a year or two ago, and we've used it to purchase such things as I believe the technical rescue trailer we purchased out of that. The Gator years ago was purchased out of that. There's a whole list of things that were purchased from that trust fund I might even been the CPR trade name, CPR chest thumper, what is it? The Lucas may have been purchased out of that, okay?
No, I think it's great that we have it. I just didn't know that it was even there.
There's a
It's
trust
beautiful.
fund there that has $116,000, and I think outfitting, depending on what we get, we would use the majority of that trust fund to outfit it. Again, it wouldn't impact the taxpayers at all. The biggest thing here is no backup, and you look at, like I said, Stratford, Northwood, Epping's got 3 or so, that's different. Barrington, they've got 2 ambulances. I'm starting to feel the need for risk aversion here, that we, with our call volume, that we may, maybe time to start looking at a backup ambulance. Okay? So, I think that's the end of the show right there. That's it. That's all I got on there, so. All set, folks?
That's great, chief.
Yeah, thank you for having that
Thank you.
display, that's really
you.
nice.
Very good.
I appreciate getting the heads up from you guys.
No, I'm just saying, that's what I'm, should have done that. Had
yeah,
2
yeah.
motions.
Yeah, I understand.
Ask him later. Thanks for coming in.
Good night, guys, thank you.
Night.
So, as we continue on with this meeting, we will continue to the second quarter financials, since we skipped that.
Pardon?
We're gonna go to the second quarter financials.
Ready when you are.
I'm ready anytime you are.
So you have expense and revenue reports through just a little bit past Q2. This has got an extra, we do 26 payrolls a year, it's got 14 of them. We do 12, our biggest line item is employee benefits. We pay that 12 times a year. This has got 7 of those. Other than that, it's pretty much half of the year. Overall, we're okay. We're not super comfortable as we are some years. We've spent $2 million out of 4.2 in the budget. So on a percentage basis, it's not terrible. We do have all of our big road project billings yet to come, so that skews the halfway point a little bit. In terms of areas of concern, I really only have, at the department level, I've got 2. One is Public Works, the other is Fire. Public Works, we've got, we're up against it in wages and repairs and materials. Used a lot of material this winter, a lot of salt, a lot of sand this winter. It was icy. They've been busy with repairs. We've just had another round of damage. Did a lot of culvert work on Mitchell Road this year. So we're going to be tight there. That will, to some extent, be offset by we did not contract for the full $600,000 in paving. You may recall last meeting we talked about that. Our last bid to add on to paving would have put us over budget for those line items, so we pulled back on that. That's going to help us at the department level anyway here. And the other piece in Public Works that continues to struggle, we continue to struggle with, is disposal costs with the recycling center. We're seeing weights continue to creep up, trucking costs are going up. We're already well past halfway on the budget. That, in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to kill us. It's not a huge chunk of the budget, but it is a trend that is not changing, and it is going to continue to trouble us. That budget line is going to keep going up. If we keep doing what we do and we just kind of take everything in and with the town grows and the volume grows and the rates grow and the trucking costs keep going up, that's going to continue to be a challenge to budget. We're accustomed to flat to slightly increased budget lines generally. This does not fit that profile. So again, not going to kill us. It's at 150 grand on a $4 million budget, we're going to be okay, but 10 years from now, that number's going to be a lot bigger at the rate we're going. We've seen steady growth, and I think short of doing something drastic with how we operate, I think that's just going to be a cost we have to accept. volume is what the volume is, and there you have it. Second department area that we're keeping an eye on is fire. Most of the struggle there is in wages. We've spent a lot in overtime covering shifts that due to vacancies, and we've Jay said identified one shift that we've been struggling to fill with the per diems, but overall we're tighter than we usually are there. I think he's losing more sleep over it than I am, but as we often say this time of year, a lot of the fire department's expenses are backloaded. A lot of their maintenance schedules they fall at the end of the year. Their hose inspections, their truck inspection, all that stuff comes at the end. So that is a little backloaded. And then areas on the bright side, these vacancies that we have vacancies in the PD, we've got a deployment in the PD, we've got vacancies at fire. We're saving money on health insurance benefits. Unfortunately, that's an old tune as well. We almost never are fully staffed. And we've saved a little bit here and there on those other insurance items and the tax lines and the retirement lines that go along with police and fire. Those are pretty expensive on a per person basis. So we've saved a little bit there. That area is what gives us the cushion, I think, that we need to finish the year. At this point, we're not concerned, but we're paying attention. There's a few, if you have questions on specific things, I'm happy to take a stab at them. There's a few line items that are wonky with, we have new line items that are screwing things up and, oddball things here and there. But not big dollar items.
Can I just ask about I should have looked at this, the police department, the overtime salary?
Yep.
We budgeted 10,000 and they spent 19?
Yep, we're down, well, we were down more
Is
than.
that offsetting because we're gonna not have an officer and?
Yes,
Are we
if you look
playing
at
that
those
way
two
down?
lines together, the best way to look at that is the two lines together, the overtime and the full-time.
Right.
You put those two together, we've still got plenty of room.
Okay, yep.
We've been down, basically we're down, then we come up and we're gonna be down again, right? I mean,
We're gonna be, well, we've got a hole with a deployment. One of our officers is deployed.
Yeah.
We're carrying that slot in the budget because he's coming back.
yeah.
We filled some of those hours with overtime, but not all of them. So that's what's creating some savings, in addition to vacant time earlier in the year before people went to the academy. And we're gonna end up, we're carrying two part-time guys right now. One of the part-time guys is gonna become full-time after he goes to the academy. Another one's gonna go away. So those things all muddle together. If you put those three lines together, we're okay for PD. And they're covering their shifts. They're getting by. Now we can talk about revenues too. If you have expense questions, I'm happy to take a stab at them or write to me and we can do them offline. If you haven't had a chance to look through this in detail. See the things like the service agencies are still at zero. Those checks go out after right this month, really, as we get tax bills in, we get the cash. So those are still zeros. Legal's going to come in under, unless something else goes wrong somewhere else. We're going to get some returns on insurance items like premium holidays, refunds, credits. Things like that will show up on the expense side. And then on the revenue side, revenue is really, it's always hard to think about revenue now. It really doesn't matter until you get to tax rate setting time. If we blow the doors off our revenue budget, or if we miss our revenue budget, it's not going to change the amount we have appropriated. It doesn't matter, right? But revenues have a big impact on the tax rate setting. and we've got news on a few different things that are going to affect that this year. We don't have hard numbers, but I can tell you, now that the legislature's done, it looks like the rooms and meals tax sharing with the town is going to go up by about a third, which is very significant. It's probably 70 or 80 grand to us when the final number comes through. The highway grant money is going to go down by 5 or 10%. That'll probably be 10 grand less than last year. The county budget is in and up about 3%. County's a tiny little fraction of our tax rate. The expense side of their budget is up 3%. I bet the revenue side is going to be up as well because of all the churn and the federal money. So I don't think there's going to be a big change in the county appropriation for us. It might go down for all I know. Importantly, the state education tax, the legislature tinkered with that this year. I think that's going to be the state education tax is the portion of on the tax bill says state education as opposed to local education. It's pretty much a number that Concord tells us, go collect this amount, and it ends up coming right back to us. But that number, they're taking some money out of a trust fund so that that tax hit is going to be smaller this year. I can't tell you how much. I don't study that side of the world, but it's I think that's $2 or $3 out of our tax rate. It might go down by a quarter, so it's a sizable impact in tax terms. And then lastly, the ARPA, the American Rescue Plan Act, the big windfall that we've talked about. The first tranche of that money landed in our account. It's real money.
Jeez.
It's here, 260,000 and change. You've already set some of that aside for Marston. Once we finish our audit, I will come back to you with a number that I suggest you take out of that for revenue shortfall. That's the gimme money out of that ARPA, where if your revenues didn't hold up through the pandemic or they didn't go up very much, you can grab some of that ARPA money and just throw it in the fund balance to offset.
Yep.
Anything you want, throw it in the fund balance and you can use it for whatever you want later. That's the no strings attached money of all of the ARPA money. That's the easiest. So we'll probably have a number for you. It's not going to be a huge number, but it'll be 5 figures in what will become found revenue for you. And then you also have land sales this year,
Yep.
which can show up as revenue.
The opera funds, can they, in any stretch of the imagination, be used for like some of the things that Fawn's looking for, like the cameras and the tasers?
No, but I think some of Jay's pain on PP&E kinds of
Yeah,
things, we'll be able to go back and chase some of that stuff.
Okay.
It's hard to say that the drone is helping you fight the pandemic. Maybe somebody can figure out how to do it. I'm not opposed to that.
Delta's
but,
still out there.
We'll continue to look for that. And again, this is $500,000 to $600,000, somewhere between those two. We've got 4 or 5 years over which to spend this. So this is not burn a hole in your pocket kind of money. If you don't want it to be, it's your choice, but you don't have to think of it that way. One thing I haven't really thought through is if the USA Springs, the Route 4 property sale goes through, the timing of that we gotta think about that and how it affects your revenue numbers for tax rate setting. That's just me thinking out loud, but, sorry. I gotta think about that before we talk about it, but it's, we may want to think about when we time that for our purpose. I think that's all I have on the financial stuff.
So, I know it's only the second quarter, we have halfway, year to go. We're looking pretty good at not seeing much of an increase in our annual percent, rate. We might go up 2%.
Tax rate?
Yeah. Well, not the tax rate. I mean, when we go to town, you know, we're not like the school getting a 17% or 7%
You mean
increase.
budget-wise?
Yeah, like we're gonna say to the town, hey, we need extra 2% from where we budgeted last year.
Oh, looking to the operating budget?
I know,
next
it's
year?
again, so it's a, I mean, you,
Yeah, yeah.
in your
No, I
opinion, do
see
you
where you're
think
going.
we're going like at a good steady level path? You know, where we're not gonna need to hit the town at a 5% increase or a 7%
That's
increase?
gonna be driven as much by what you put in warrant articles as what, and what you put in the operating budget as
Yep.
anything.
Yep.
You have a lot of flexibility in terms of how you steer that presentation to the voters. You know, the more things you pull out of the operating budget to put in individual warrant articles, the easier it is to keep the operating budget small. In terms of big ticket items that you're gonna hear from the staff, in terms of proposals, you've heard about, you know, some tonight.
Yep.
There's probably, we're gonna need to talk about one more full-time position in a recreation facilities management, public works kind of arena, some maintenance type person. We've got that gap as well
Yeah.
as
You need
jobs.
somebody that's gonna mow the fields there, take care of the beach, do this, do that
That
stuff.
kind of
and-
stuff in the building, you know, the building issues and things like that.
Yeah.
We haven't figured out how we want to do that yet, but we know there's a need there, position wise. I don't anticipate anything else at this point, staffing wise, in terms of new positions that we'd be asking for. Maybe, there may be like a part-time to full-time thing somewhere, but,
Have we heard anything more from the school, since the, leaving the SAU got passed, in terms of what?
I
they're
haven't heard
working
from
on?
them. I don't know where
Okay,
they had options, it sounded like, and they obviously know where to find us, so.
okay.
Yeah.
Any more questions on this, guys?
Well, thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Our non-public tonight
I
is,
got just one thing before
Oh,
we
sorry.
go into public, and I know this is unpopular, and I'm probably gonna get yelled at by multiple people for this, but, your memo, Chris, about maintenance practices for newly accepted roads,
Yes,
I think we're gonna be as transparent as possible on all of this stuff, because we have people who don't believe us, they think we're lying, and, I think, I'm not saying I disagree with this, but I'm just saying I think we need to talk about this in a public meeting so that people understand where we're headed and kind of how we're shaping to go forward. So I don't know if you guys agree or not, but I'm just thinking we need to be transparent.
so openly talking about the issues that were on Highland Ave or Jameson Trail and,
Yeah, to me, it's maybe less about specific roads and more about the decision-making process and the kind of like how Sean and Chris are thinking about how we promote, how we go after it. You know, for example, like, we've got roads that need some big, big expensive work. Do we start to look at those by planning them out through the CIP? Right, so I think it doesn't have to be let's go talk about these specific roads, but just kind of like what your decision-making framework looks like.
yeah, I wrote that because I need you to understand how we're approaching these.
Exactly, yeah,
I don't want to politicize the road maintenance process, because that happens in some places, and which roads get worked on this year.
yeah,
It really does get to that level, and I don't want to drag you into something like that. But at the same time, we're in a unique situation now where we've got new conditions, our whole framework of road management. We got a whole new environment. We just took on a 15% increase in mileage
yep,
in the worst roads in town.
Yep.
So we're gonna need some guidance on how you want us to do that. We'll figure it out, but we need you to be on board with what we're doing or tell us to do it differently.
yep,
And frankly, some of those decisions we need you to make because they're liability decisions, and we shouldn't put Sean in the position of making those decisions. And you shouldn't put me in those positions, because, you know.
Yep.
How do they become liability issues? I know I read what you wrote, but I'm just,
Yeah, well, like putting something off is in large part because of potential liability. I'm very confident that that's the right thing to do.
Yep,
But that level of decision is something you gotta buy into.
right, I've always explained to people that it's, the major roads in town always have a priority, because they're more traveled roads than any other road we take care of.
That's not gonna change.
Right,
Right.
that's how it is.
Yeah.
Don't expect something to happen on this to fix your ditch, because there's bigger problems that need to be addressed before this.
yep,
Right, and on any given day, that is exactly how things will get addressed. But on any given day is not a 10-year method.
right.
And we don't have a 10-year method for what we just bought. And I don't think getting through every day, if you want us to just get through every day, like we did for the last 2 weeks, that's fine, just tell us that, and we'll do that, and we're gonna tell you, okay, we'll keep doing that, it's gonna be a lesser quality road, it's gonna cost more in the long run, but it's a heck of a lot easier than the alternative.
Yeah.
That's a decision you gotta make, that's not a decision that the staff should make.
Yep.
It's too many zeros, too many people affected by it, so, does that make sense?
It's open for discussion on how you say that and present it, but that's, I understand certain roads, but again, I'm always thinking is on some of these roads, minimum, we need, make it safe, passable. That's the standard that we keep it at.
It's fine, we need to find a way for you to tell us that.
Yeah.
Because right now, we don't
And if
have
there's
that-
ways we can do things by digging in a ditch here, moving stuff like this and doing stuff to make it drain better and do curvature and, again, at minimum, we need to do just to keep going forward, obviously making headway, but I don't want to see any expenditure on any other road that has, 5 digits on it. And I know it might be a little, but hiring other people, I mean, if we can't handle it ourselves, then that's a whole nother.
Okay, so that's the kind of thing
Expense.
that's the kind of thing that the staff
I don't
is
wanna
gonna
see
need
us
to
do.
To say, okay, if it reaches the point where it's 5 digits, then we need to talk about it. We need to be involved in that, because we don't have that kind of guidance right now, and that's
Yeah,
okay.
and that's kind of why I was going that way. So Chris, do we approach it by, and I think we've taken this approach in the past sometimes, is that you come with a list of questions? Because, or just the areas, some examples of where you would need guidance?
I don't know how you give us that. Something like, if it needs more than 5 figures, then we don't want to do it on this type of road. That kind of thing that's very easy.
Or it's not that we won't do it, but we need to.
Right,
talk about
you need to make the
our
decision,
board
not, not the staff, and that's.
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
That's really what this is, it's not, you're gonna make the decisions in the end.
Yeah,
You and
yeah.
the budget.
Yeah.
Obviously, right, because I don't want to see an explosion in that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're gonna need to be able to stand in front of the public and say, why are you doing X and not Y?
Exactly,
Right?
exactly,
And,
yeah.
Or why are you doing something that you know isn't gonna last? Which is not something we do. But I've just given you an example of, here's us going and doing something that we don't think is gonna last, right? And that's not natural for,
Right,
it's just not how we operate.
Right,
So
right.
It may be the right decision, but it's not.
It's not how we
It's not how we do
operate
business.
today.
I just,
The town operated a lot different years ago, but that's,
yeah, my problem is I just feel we have a big amount of people thinking, what are these guys talking about? This is voted on. They think we're gonna try to somehow say, we don't care what the warrant article, the other one said, and you passed it. We're gonna defeat that in this way. We're gonna say that this, and that. It says as is. I mean, the roads are as is. We've maintained them for 100 years, right? I mean, I'm still wondering, have we taken possession of somebody's property now that there are roads?
No.
None of them roads are owned by anybody.
The road is not ownership, not a fee ownership, not an ownership of the land.
No, okay.
The road is just the right to travel over it. maintain it now.
But that's just, that's the feeling I have, is they're saying, here we go again. I mean, we've been up and down this battle for quite a while now, and, I mean, like I said, I was telling John, I should have made a motion to, you know, to rescind the minimum standards or whatever, and then, as soon as that passed, but for the roads that were mentioned in that warrant article, and then brought up again, make a motion to re-adopt Nottingham minimum design standards. I mean, that's, I don't know. I mean, I see that we've had, but all the roads that these last 3 weeks or whatever, I mean, we've had as much rain as we've had in, 100 years probably. I mean, a lot of roads are hurting right now, but
The roads are what?
hurting. I mean, not just in Nottingham, everywhere, you see some places got washed out completely.
Our old gravel, our longtime holdings, the roads that have been roads for a long time, even our gravel, really came through this pretty.
Yeah, that
Our road came through it pretty well.
Mitchell's great.
Yeah.
Mitchell's great, and then where the culverts were, that helped. I mean, 'cause, it
Short
really
drive to
did.
Cobra went through fine.
Yeah,
There was really no, just wash out on the sides, but
yeah,
the center's all perfect to go.
still passable. So, I mean, I don't know exactly where we go with this, other than I think, I just want to make sure we're being transparent as we talked about. Two things, that we're being transparent, so people understand how we're making decisions and how we're going forward. But then we're getting you and Sean the guidance that you need as well.
All right, well, we'll put some thought into how to frame that for you without, I don't think you want to have a discussion every week about what road.
No.
Uh,
Some general guiding
We're
principles.
gonna need the framework for that, and we'll think about how to do
Okay,
that.
okay.
Without having done any planning, that's, we don't have an inventory, we don't have a plan. All we have is just a new bunch of stuff. So-
Yeah, so, right. So it's gonna have to take that into consideration, yeah. Okay. Oh, what are we going in under?
D, and then dog.
I have, new action items, 300 celebration committee and road standard policy. That's it.
I
Well,
think road standard's not, that's gonna be an
agenda item.
agenda item, right?
That is, that's an action item.
Yeah.
Well, Chris just took an action item too, to just kind of gather with Sean to talk about what they need from the board in terms of, highway, about maintenance for newly accepted roads, guidance.
For the old town hall, that's for 8-9, we move that to 8:23, 'cause it seems like we're gonna have,
I'll make a motion, we go into non-public per RSA 91-A:32D.
Second.
All in favor, roll call?
I, Donna Danus.
Hi, Tony Dumas.
I, Tyler Eden.
Hi, John Moore. Thank you, Nottingham. We will resume this meeting right after to just adjourn.